Emmerdale tease that the peace in the Yorkshire village will soon be overshadowed by a storm not even its oldest residents could foresee. But this storm isn't just one of emotional betrayal or hidden secrets. It is one brewed far beyond the borders of Emmerdale itself, in the corridors of media power and broadcast decisions. As beloved characters brace themselves for new challenges, fans watching from their homes find themselves battling a different type of disruption. This week and next, sports coverage continues to interfere with the traditional broadcast schedule of the ITV soap, leaving viewers confused and frustrated. Most notably, Emmerdale will be pulled from the air on multiple occasions, due to ITV's coverage of the UEFA Women's Euro 2025. The week begins with relative normalcy. On Monday, July 7th, a new episode airs as expected. Tuesday, July 8th, continues this brief sense of routine. But the illusion of normalcy shatters midweek. On Wednesday, July 9th, Emmerdale will be absent entirely from the screens. Fans, used to building their evenings around the show's 7:30 p.m. time slot, will be left with a void. Thursday, July 10th, and Friday, July 11th, will restore the schedule, at least temporarily. Behind the scenes, however, the tension is palpable. Rumors swirl that this interruption isn't merely temporary. Several internal ITV leaks have hinted at the possibility that Emmerdale might be removed from the network altogether. Though nothing has been officially confirmed, the whispers have already begun to take root, spreading anxiety through the fanbase like wildfire. Emmerdale's production team is reportedly furious, feeling sidelined by the broadcaster they have worked with for decades. One anonymous crew member claimed, "We've been fighting tooth and nail to stay on top, to keep the stories fresh, and now it feels like we're being quietly edged out." The actors are equally shaken. Some have taken to social media, carefully voicing their disappointment, without overstepping professional boundaries. One cast member posted cryptically, "Funny how some stories get paused while others get all the airtime. Loyal viewers deserve better." Indeed, for fans who have followed Emmerdale through generations, births, deaths, weddings, betrayals, and more, the idea of a temporary break is difficult enough. But to even imagine a permanent disappearance? Unthinkable. Across the internet, passionate viewers have begun to mobilize. Petitions calling for Emmerdale's uninterrupted airing have gathered thousands of signatures within hours. Forums buzz with theories and frustration. One popular comment reads, "We've stuck with Emmerdale through every plot twist. This betrayal hurts more than anything Crowley ever did to Joe." In the storylines themselves, the characters continue navigating their own darkness. Joe's twisted descent into blackmail and betrayal has fans gripped, with his conflict with Crowley entering ever more dangerous territory. Sam's quiet loyalty, Sean's sudden disappearance, and Crowley's cold manipulation paint a bleak, but fascinating canvas. But none of it matters if viewers can't tune in. More than once, discussions have erupted over whether Emmerdale could be shifted to another platform, perhaps ITVX, ITV's streaming service, or even a rival network if worst comes to worst. Insiders suggest that meetings have already taken place, but nothing concrete has emerged. In the village of Emmerdale, Joe fights for his life, for redemption and for justice. In the real world, fans fight for the show's very survival. There's a cruel irony in it all. The fictional tension mirrors reality. Secrets, uncertainty, fear of abandonment. And yet, Emmerdale has always been about resilience, of families, of communities, of individuals. It has survived fires, explosions, floods, and even pandemics. The hope now is that it can survive the schedule. As July unfolds, one thing is clear: Emmerdale may be off-air for a few days, but it is far from gone in the hearts of its fans. And while UEFA may dominate the screens, it cannot dominate the spirit of a story that has lived for over half a century. Stay tuned, for both the drama on screen and the drama off it. The absence of Emmerdale from the airwaves only deepened the drama echoing through its narrative. While fans argued in comment threads and campaigns surged to bring the show back in full, within the storyline, Joe's reality continued to crumble, and dangerously so. Following the explosive confrontation with Crowley and the dramatic police takedown, there remained one loose thread: Sean. Though presumed missing, rumors crept through the village like smoke. Kane Dingle mentioned a mysterious figure hanging around the scrapyard late at night. Marlon overheard whispers about someone sleeping rough by the canal. And then, one morning, Sam found something tucked under the door of his shed: Sean's distinctive ring. It wasn't just a message. It was a warning. Joe knew then that Sean hadn't disappeared. He was waiting. Watching. Possibly planning his revenge. Sam urged Joe to leave the village, at least temporarily. "You've done your part, Joe. Crowley's in prison. The network's cracked. Let the rest go." But Joe couldn't. Not when Sean was still out there. He began walking the village again at odd hours, not because he expected to find Sean, but because he wanted to be found. Each night, he passed the woolpack, the church, the quiet cottages asleep behind dark windows. And each night, he felt eyes on him. Until finally, one evening, Sean stepped from the shadows. "You thought you were safe?" Sean asked, voice like gravel. "You thought you could betray me and just walk away?" Joe didn't flinch. "You left me bleeding on the floor, Sean. Whatever we were, that ended the second you crossed that line. Crowley was just a snake. But you're a rat." The scuffle that followed was brutal and fast. Joe tried to hold his ground, but Sean had the advantage, until Sam emerged, wielding a thick branch, his face white with fury. One blow sent Sean sprawling. Another had him unconscious. The police were called, and this time, Sean didn't slip through the cracks. In the aftermath, something changed in Joe. He began spending more time at the community center, volunteering quietly, fixing broken fences, delivering meals to the elderly. He and Sam spoke less about the past, more about the present. Trust was not fully repaired, but something else had taken root. Respect. Meanwhile, behind bars, Crowley made one final move. A solicitor arrived at Joe's door with a parcel, Crowley's last testament. Not a legal will, but a personal one. Inside, a confession, handwritten, naming every accomplice, every forged document, every manipulated transplant. Alongside it, a letter. "I never expected to lose, Joe. But if I did, I knew you'd be the one left standing. I give you the truth. What you do with it, well, maybe you'll be braver than I was." Joe turned the confession over to the authorities. The investigation widened. More arrests followed. Quiet deals were struck. Emmerdale was never mentioned in the news coverage. But Joe knew the lives saved because of it. The villagers began to see Joe differently. Not as the man who'd brought danger to their doorstep, but as the man who had survived it, and made sure no one else would suffer the same. Months passed. Summer turned to autumn. Then came the news the village had been dreading, ITV's press release, vague and ominous. In light of shifting audience demand and programming logistics, Emmerdale's future will be reassessed in the coming fiscal year. Reassessed. The word sent panic through every Emmerdale household, on screen and off. Once more, fans rose up. This time louder. A grassroots campaign called #Save Emmerdale began trending. Cast members, once restrained, posted messages of support. Sam's actor even released a heartfelt video thanking viewers for standing by them through the storyline's darkest arcs. Finally, on a grey December morning, a final statement was issued. ITV is proud to confirm that Emmerdale will continue on our screens into the next year and beyond. Ongoing commitment to long-form storytelling and viewer loyalty remains our highest priority. Relief swept the community. On screen, off screen. Everywhere. The first episode back aired with little warning. A simple opening scene, Joe planting winter bulbs outside the village hall. Sam approached, carrying 2 mugs of tea. Bit cold for gardening. Joe looked up, smiling faintly. It's never too cold for something that might bloom. The camera panned out. The village breathed again. Winter settled in over Emmerdale like a soft curtain, muffling sound and movement. But beneath its quiet cover, life beat stronger than ever. The village had weathered the storm of scandal, betrayal, and a very real threat of extinction, but its people endured. Joe, Sam, and even the memory of Crowley remained part of the village's unspoken legacy, woven tightly into its very fabric. The investigation that followed Crowley's confession became national news after the files were leaked anonymously to the press. While Joe was never publicly named, there were enough breadcrumbs for sharp-eyed viewers to trace the shadows back to Emmerdale. A handful of reporters even made the trip to the village, poking around, whispering questions at the Woolpack, hoping to uncover the man behind the scandal. But the villagers, loyal to the core, said nothing. Joe watched from the sidelines. He had no desire to relive what had already left scars too deep for the eye to see. His focus remained on rebuilding. Not just fences or broken relationships, but a sense of purpose. He began running workshops with the youth center, focusing on mental health, resilience, and the danger of secrets left to rot. Sam, after months of quiet healing, returned to the farm. The unspoken tension between him and Joe slowly gave way to something better than what they had before, not just friendship, but a deep, earned trust. They didn't need to speak about what had happened. They had survived it. Then, in early February, word came that Sean had struck a deal. In exchange for leniency, he had provided prosecutors with evidence of another player in Crowley's network, a silent partner, who had never appeared in the files, a surgeon based in Manchester, who had orchestrated donor matches outside all ethical boundaries. The man was arrested, and for the first time, it felt as though the web was being unraveled completely. Joe was summoned to testify again. This time as a witness for the prosecution. Though reluctant at first, he went. Standing in that courtroom, under lights that revealed every inch of a man changed by consequence, he told the truth. It didn't bring peace immediately. But it loosened the weight he had carried. When he returned, Emmerdale met him with silence. But not judgment. Only understanding. Spring bloomed early that year. Lambs dotted the fields, and daffodils unfurled along the village green. The mood, like the air, was lighter. It was Sam who suggested the memorial. Not for the ones we lost, he said. For the ones who survived. For the people we saved. Joe nodded. He hadn't expected to cry, but when the plaque was installed near the chapel, he did. To those who gave without knowing. And to those who carry them forward. No names. Just truth. The producers of Emmerdale, invigorated by fan response, chose to turn the recent storylines into a limited docudrama on ITVX. While fictionalized, it touched on the themes Joe had lived: corruption, survival, mental health, and redemption. The actors who had played Sam and Joe were brought in to advise on tone. When the credits rolled, they appeared as themselves, reflecting on the legacy of their characters. Joe, watching it from the quiet of his living room, was overcome by a single thought. If truth is told bravely, it can heal. Months later, on a warm June morning, Joe walked through the village he now called home, not as a fugitive of his past, but as a man fully present. The Woolpack buzzed with voices and laughter. Sam leaned against the bar, already 3 pints in. Kane grumbled about lost tools. Belle offered to help at the animal shelter. And Joe? He stepped behind the counter with Marlon and began preparing tea for the elderly lunch run. Because in Emmerdale, life didn't end with crisis. It restarted. Again and again. The camera would not linger. The drama might quiet. But the stories of struggle, forgiveness, and the slow burn of change would always go on. And in that quiet, faithful rhythm, Emmerdale endured.